Okay.
I dropped the camera. It's wrapped around several wires, so this is as high as I can put it.
Oh boy. It's gonna be a real pro video.
Oh yeah. So I saw Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors.
Yeah, me too.
This is Dan Carlson, one half of Two Cat Men.
This is John Cadolf, the other half of Two Kept Men.
And we are here is Shudder Club.
Woohoo! After a couple weeks hiatus, here we are.
And today is actually the anniversary of the day that Nightmare on Elm Street 4: The Dream Master was released. That's was the #1 grossing slasher movie of the 80s. But we're not here to talk about that one.
No.
We're here to talk about the other one just before it. Some would say a better one.
I would say.
I'd say they're about equal, but I think I give a little bit of an edge to part 3.
I liked it.
I love it.
It's my favorite I'd have to say it's probably it's in the top 2 favorites of all of the Freddy films.
Boy, that's hard because it's definitely my favorite of the sequels proper. But then you get into like Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I think is technically better, even if it's not as it's not as fun because it's more about being scary. But I consider it technically a better movie. But Dream Warriors is definitely my favorite.
It has an awesome soundtrack.
It has an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that?
We're the Dream Warriors. Ain't gonna dream no more.
Don't we have a clip of you singing that for me?
Maybe.
The first thing that John and I ever filmed together was at his house on 84th Street. Was it
81st?
81st Street, and we rented Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors. We walked. We both already seen it, but it was just new on home video, so it was like the first time we rented it. And I remember walking back from the video store with a boombox on your shoulder, playing the song Dream Warriors, and walking past some nuns.
Of course, return of some of the cast. We have. And of course, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, and a very young Patricia Arquette, playing Kristen.
Yeah, what was neat was this was the return of Heather Langenkamp after Elm Street 2, which a lot of people didn't like, and it was very different. I like it now. I like it now, but it's not a normal Elm Street movie.
Right. Exactly.
And this is kind of a return to form. Wes Craven actually was one of the producers, and he co-wrote the story. Then the screenplay was gotten a hold of by the guy who worked on, I think Frank Darabont worked on it, from Shawshank Redemption. And he injected a lot of the humor along with Chuck Russell, the director.
Yep.
I like the fact that the whole 80s was about big action heroes making dumb one-liners before they killed people, and then they took a horror movie and made the villain do that instead. It was the first movie to do that. Yeah.
Well, and and in a way, Freddy Krueger is kind of the anti-hero in the films.
Yeah. It's the nature of a slasher series that the only returning characters are the killers.
I mean, you want the Dream Warriors to win, certainly, but
there's a perverse pleasure
in when he kills. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage.
Okay.
You have a girl who is being plagued by the dreams, and her mother. At first, her mother kind of seems like she's, kind of nice, but then she just suddenly is like this, horrible witch. And
I don't know if she's a horrible witch or if she just had no real understanding of what her daughter was going through.
So she's plagued by the dreams. She's a crafty person. She likes building stuff.
Mm-hmm. We're talking about Patricia Arquette now. Kristen.
Yeah. She builds the Kruger home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the
seems weird if you're being plagued by nightmares to make art.
The Thompson home. Yeah. And
like other things.
But then she is controlled in her dream where she ends up doing dream walking, basically.
She's a lucid dreamer.
She ends up cutting her wrists.
Oh, you saw? Yes. Okay.
And being sent to the group home, mm-hmm. where she is joined by Kincaid, Joey, Taryn, Philip, Will, and Max.
Yeah. You forgot to mention the most important thing about Kristen's character is that she has an ability to bring people into her dreams.
Oh yes, of course. She used to take her dad into the dreams to protect her.
Mm-hmm. And then he would assume that it was her dream. I mean, his dream, and not hers.
Yeah, and was he killed? Yes.
I don't know. He's not in the story anymore. I don't know if he's gone or. But it was neat seeing these kids come together and face down their fear with their own respective dream powers.
Yeah, in fact, let's break those down.
Actually, kind of moving.
Let's break those down. Okay. First, we have Kincaid, played by Ken Sagos.
Yeah, and his superpower seems to be his ability to bend steel.
Yeah, he's extremely strong and
walks through walls.
And witty.
Talks mad shit.
Talks mad shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. There's Joey, the silent one, right?
Yeah. His power is we don't learn what his power is till he uses it once.
His power is to run away and be scared.
He does that for a long time, but eventually he does find his power.
He finds his power. Do we want to talk about that now or wait till later?
Are we going to do a whole breakdown?
Yeah, everybody's seen this movie already.
Okay.
But so we'll talk about his power when we get to that part of the story. Mm-hmm. We've got Taryn.
She's badass.
She's the badass with switchblades and the hair.
Yeah.
She's really quiet.
Yeah. She used to struggle with drug addiction.
Yep.
And she, unfortunately, in this new location, is pushed by some of the people in charge of the pharmaceutical area to start using it.
Oh yeah. Yep. But she resists. She's a good girl now.
She does. She resists.
She's a good girl, but she's a bad girl.
She's a badass.
She's a badass, and her basically her special ability is
to be
knives and stabbing weapons.
Kristen,
and she's played by Jennifer Rubin, by the way.
Who a year later was in Bad Dreams, which is also on Shudder. You should check that out.
Woo.
It's a good one.
Then we have Philip.
It's actually very similar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We'll check it out, maybe.
Yeah.
Philip.
Philip it makes little dummies, puppets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his power was. I don't think he actually got to use it.
He died too early.
The guy who died first.
I mean, okay.
He died in a really spectacular way.
He was kind of like the complainer of the group.
Yeah. And so his veins are pulled out of his wrists and he's turned into a puppet. Yeah. Into a puppet. Yeah.
That was one of the most gruesome scenes I'd ever seen up until that point.
Well, you know what's cool is that...
It was very cringeworthy.
Yeah, the kills in this movie seemed like they were just written, and then the one-liners sprang out of them. My only complaint with some of the later movies is that they seemed like setups for the one-liner.
Yeah. And this one
works perfectly.
Yeah, no, this one was organic.
Yeah.
Like the chips I'm eating.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Will. Oh, and he was played by Bradley Gregg.
Will?
Philip was.
Oh, okay.
Will, who was played by Ira Hayden.
Okay.
What was his deal?
He's our D&D guy.
Yeah, he is their dungeon master.
Yeah,
And his ability is basically that he can do magic, kind of like Presto in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
They never actually call it Dungeons and Dragons, but it's that's obviously what it is.
Yeah, and they should have just asked, because they would have been just handed the rights to use the words Dungeons and Dragons in there. He's got the magic, but he's also handicapped. He's handy capable. Thank you. And he's in a wheelchair.
The willingness to show Freddy in different incarnations is kind of cool too. He's a snake at one point. You know,
we haven't broken down the whole crew yet.
Well, then there's Nancy, who is from the original Elm Street.
Yep, and she's kind of like the leader.
It's only 3 years after Elm Street that this was filmed, but it's supposed to be, I think, almost like 8 or 9 years after the movie, because she's gone to college, graduated. She's now a professor, or I don't know if she's some kind of
psychotherapist or something.
Therapist, yeah,
or a dream therapist.
Yeah.
Okay, and Jennifer was the one that
movie star.
What? She wants to be a movie star.
Right.
She was played by Penelope Sudrow. She has probably my favorite death in the whole movie, which was
to be sent off by Dick Cavett and Zsa Zsa Gabor is pretty noteworthy.
Yeah. That was awesome. So she goes up to the TV, and the arms come out and grab a hold of her and pick her up. And welcome to prime time, bitch! Blam! And, and so how anybody could have thought that was a suicide is beyond me.
Right,
just
jumps
into
the TV,
like 2 feet off the floor, and her head is in the television.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone has tried to break a TV tube, you know that it's actually really hard to break a TV tube.
Well, and this one was really high up on the wall too. It wasn't like she pulled it down or anything. You know, it was still mounted on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, so it's hard to break them, and to use your head to break and stick your head actually into it is like unfathomable. So how anybody could have thought that was a suicide is no. Somebody had to have figured it out at that point. Lawrence Fishburne is in.
One of the themes of Elm Street is that the parents never. The parents don't really want to face. They almost kind of know what's going on, but they don't want to face it because they were part of what caused it. They put him to death. So there's sort of a denial there. So, they probably would be inclined to say, well, that was a suicide, even though it was clearly.
Sure.
But
all of these parents sacrificing their children to Freddy Krueger because it's just too much of a bother in their lives.
I think it's more about denial. I think that's what Wes was going for too. He's like, the new generation kind of.
Perhaps, but
having to go up against that.
In a situation where they're going to probably get killed by the guy you murdered.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Lawrence Fishburne is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy from The Matrix, already in a dream.
Yeah. And he was billed in the credits as Larry Fishburne.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, he's not in it very much. He's good, but he's not in it very much. He's got like 3 scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have John Saxon playing Freddy's or Nancy's dad again.
Yep.
Alcoholic and kind of trying to deal with what happened in the first movie.
Yeah, but he's really in denial.
He's very much in it. He was in denial in the first movie, but
yeah, but he's like serious now. He even knows what's going on, and he's like, "Come on, Nancy."
Yeah.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
You've been through it,
right?
The old mean doctor lady.
Oh,
Priscilla Sims.
Is she mean, or is she just the person that you would expect to? I mean, what she's saying would be true in any other circumstance.
Yeah.
And then there's let's see there. Oh, well, we didn't talk about Craig Wesson from the Body Double and Ghost Story.
Nan the Nun.
Let's not forget Robert Englund.
I already mentioned Robert.
Okay.
At the very beginning.
Okay. Well, he does a fantastic.
Oh, of course he does a fantastic job.
I mean, he reinvents the screen villain for an entire decade. Every movie after that, all the horror movie villains were cracking wise while they killed.
Yeah. So the Dream Warriors, they collectively go into these dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and use their various powers to fight Freddy in various ways. So
Freddy uses their own personal fears against them.
I love the claymation Freddy. I wonder if that's
Yes.
still in existence.
I don't think so. That stuff doesn't last very long. It degrades fast.
That would be cool to get a hold of that, though.
The claymation skeleton fighting Craig Wesson at the end, and John said,
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
fantastic.
That was good. It was very reminiscent of like Jason and the Argonauts kind of rotoscope, you know.
Yeah.
But I still liked it, you know. And then and then and then Freddy realizes that that they found when he realizes that they found his bones, he just kind of disappears right as he's about to kill one of the kids, and then rises up in reality. You know, I mean, his power is at an incredible high at this point. You know,
never again in the series until maybe episode 7.
But I mean, he's able to enter the the prime material plane and fuck with people.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So let's go over some of the cooler scenes there. We have the carpet scene where
keep talking about the carpet scene. Is that the one with the snake?
Yeah. So I should call it the snake scene. Where Freddy's head is on the end of a snake and starts eating what is it? Jennifer?
Kristen.
Oh, he starts eating Kristen, right. And then they stab him in the eye,
mm-hmm.
and he regurgitates her.
She's already been thrown up.
Yeah, and it's like, holy crap. He's like, whoa, something's going on.
They even starting to digest her, too, because she's got all kinds of goop on her.
Then there's the Hall of Mirrors
Mm-hmm.
that Freddy shows up in and grabs them all and puts them out. And that's where Joey reveals his magic power, which is screaming so loud that it can break glass.
Yeah.
Smashes the mirrors and returns all the kids back together again.
Mm-hmm. Temporarily.
Yeah, what are the other... Okay, so then there is Taryn. She is taken out in an alleyway when she is fighting against Freddy. She gets a few nice stabs in.
Mm-hmm.
But then he reveals his hands with the syringes on them. And what does he say to her? What is his...
What a rush.
Oh, yeah, what a rush. And, well, you notice when he puts the
little orifices
in. Yeah, the orifices on the arm. That was really gross to me.
Yeah.
Stabs him in, and then Robert Englund realizes that a couple of the syringes are just kind of hanging around, so he kind of looks over and readjusts and sticks those in.
I didn't notice.
You didn't notice that? No. I notice that every time. We did talk about it, that the little suction cuppy orifices on her arm were like all happy, and that was a really cringeworthy scene.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like I said, the most gruesome, cringeworthy scene that I think I can remember the most from that era of movies was was being led by his veins to his death. That
6 months before Hellraiser came out, so that was
But that was the most gruesome thing I'd ever seen. Okay, so anyway, so what did you like most about Dream Warriors?
Well, from a purely popcorn level, I just like the whole roller coaster feel of it, waiting for the next kill and the joke. I like the characters. I like Nancy. I always like Nancy. Any movie with Nancy in it is good.
Yeah.
But what I liked on another level was the idea of these kids, basically finding a community where they could actually affect what's going on.
Yeah, make a difference
instead of feeling like they were alone. They got together and fought this. And
right. So, okay, my question.
It's actually what Craven said he was inspired to write when he started writing. Although his script wasn't used, it was so violent and upsetting to the studio that they gave it to the comedians.
I wish we could read the original scripts of these movies.
I think it's online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What made you pick this movie out of all 6 that were on Shudder? Because there were other.
Because I think that is just about my favorite.
Hmm.
I would have to say, of course, the first one holds a special golden place, but the third one is probably my favorite because it's almost like a D&D campaign.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Kids go together as like almost a party after Freddy Krueger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my big question.
I never really thought of it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, my big question is at the end. Okay, so his bones were consecrated.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to banish him forever.
Mm-hmm.
How does he come back?
You don't remember? Well, that'll be our next review because it's actually one of my favorites. I'm going to pick that next film.
Oh, hey, excellent. Okay, so
so he's brought back by flaming dog urine.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm definitely going to give this a press play.
I'm definitely saying press play. I watch this once a year, so.